Saint Markus, Unleashed, written by Marcus Antoni Marbello. Dedication to every soul who has known struggle and every spirit who has longed for light. This book is for you. To my family, my ancestors, and to God who gave me this voice, I dedicate these words. Preface. Before you enter these pages, I want you to know this is not just a story. It is memory and imagination intertwine. It is faith and fear, love and loss, all woven into one journey. I have kept voices raw, sometimes painful, always honest. Some passages come from Marion's own writings, her vade-mecums. They remain unpolished on purpose, because truth is not always smooth. I have chosen to preserve these words as they were lived, while also giving you, the listener, a path to follow through narration, voices, and the power of sound. This is not simply a book. It is an invocation, a mirror, a reckoning.
The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8:20.
Prologue. September 1998. At a funeral home in a small town in Missouri, a family congregates for services. This is undeniably a screwed-up bunch of people. Of the 13 original family members, only 2 have been able to sustain stable relationships. Their trails are littered with infidelities, failed marriages, countless car crashes, and a death. As of 4 days ago, 2 deaths. Even today, on this special day of remembrance, most of them are mad at each other and not speaking. Automobile wheels spin down a paved highway toward the funeral home. Those smoking outside on the steps see a small dot, which becomes an approaching black limousine. 2 attractive women, one tall, crop-haired and mannish in a pantsuit, and the other shorter with curls wearing a black little girl dress, turn to each other and say at the same time,
"Oh my God."
The loud man in jeans and boots talking to a soft-spoken businessman in a sharp suit says, "Damn." The long car pulls up front and center, and a disapproving chauffeur opens the rear door. The smells of marijuana, expensive perfume, and vomit waft out. In that order, a pointed toe in black patent leather, a stiletto heel, and a shapely leg in black fishnets slide out. An elegant woman emerges, veiled and dressed in black from head to toe. Mouths drop open, and all eyes are on her, fascinated. Clearly, the family has no idea who this is.
This is just like in the movies.
Heidi whispers to her husband, Dubé. The woman's feet are unsteady, and at one point she scrapes her heel on the sidewalk. Practically gouges a trench, actually.
For the lips of a strange woman drop as in honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a 2-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Proverbs 5:3-5.
Inside the funeral parlor, her gloved hand signs the guest register. M.A.M. Chapter 1. The Beginning of Morbose.
Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter 5:8.
Morning dawned on June 1st, 1962. The farm awoke in its usual flurry of noise. Kids running, chores waiting, animals stirring. Mother Marion, whom I shall call Mom, was busy, with a new baby soon to arrive. My father, Bill, Daddy, was already outdoors, working with the tractor. Even the dog, Lobo, sensed something unnatural. His whining, scratching, and barking at the basement door revealed that he felt my presence. When I appeared before him, he froze, terrified, before fleeing. I climbed into the attic above my parents' room, my chosen hiding place. From there I waited, for soon when night cloaked the farm in silence, I would begin. When the chores were finally done, the family prayed, ate, and slept. The house fell silent. I moved from the attic roof to peer in windows, searching for Daddy, the one I longed to claim. But when I looked inside, I discovered a different truth. Daddy's eyes glowed faintly, already marked, already claimed. Another demon, Rashma, had beaten me to him. Fury boiled inside me. The body I had planned for myself was not entirely free.
Marion's vademecum.
She found an unused steno pad in the trailer. On its inside cover, she taped a list of possible book titles she had written. Things you just don't know. How bad can it be? Married bliss versus living hell. Marriage gone bad. How family secrets break you. Life with shadows. My life torn apart. A family broken. Alone in her small home, Marion wept as she wrote.
I seethed. Rashma's poisonous presence was clear to me now. Daddy was already shackled by another spirit. But I was patient. I would bide my time. Demons, after all, can share space uneasily, and if controlled correctly, one can feed even upon the soul of another. So I stayed. I studied. I planned. For my destiny was greater than Rashma's chaos.
Marion's vademecum.
When I met Bill, I was 16. He was my first love. My first everything. We married quickly, and I gave my heart and strength to our life together. Through the years, I worked the farm, raised the children, and believed in him, no matter how many burdens he placed on me.
Night after night, Daddy walked the halls. Sometimes he prayed with his children, then turned away into darker appetites. The contradictions amused me, how easily humans wear masks, and yet I could not move too soon. If I drove Rashma out violently, Daddy's mortal body might collapse. I needed him alive for my ultimate plan, so I waited, in silence, in shadows, in the attic above their room. And the longer I waited, the stronger I became.
Chapter 2. Mom's reality interweaves into her sister's demise.
Morning dawned on June 1st, 1962. And in just a little while, everyone was awake and running around. They acted like a bunch of wild animals. There were 4 kids on the ground and 1 inside my target mother, Marion, whom I shall call Mom. And of course, Bill, Daddy. The school bus picked up the kids, and Mom left the house to go shopping. I could hear the tractor running, so I assumed Daddy was outside. I detected a noise on the other side of the basement door. It was that bastard dog, Lobo. He could sense my core-rotting, evil stench. He started whimpering and carrying on, scratching the door and even barking a little. Not very bright, Lobo, old boy. I swung the door open. He got a look at my true form and froze. I kicked him hard, one time. He ran like a scared bunny through the kitchen, wailing the whole time. And then, out the back door he went. I went upstairs where everyone, except for the newborn children, slept. I found a door at the end of an upside-down, horseshoe-shaped hallway. The door and knob on it were smaller than regular size. It was to the left, somewhat back in a corner, just past Mom and Daddy's room. I opened it, and a stairwell curved upward and to the right, mysterious and quaint. I was charmed. This was going to be perfect. I was now in the attic, right over their bedroom, and it wouldn't be long before all the chores were done and night fell. Yes, I was going to enjoy life on Earth, or so I thought. Time passed slowly, but finally Mom returned from her shopping and the kids were all home from school. The cows were milked, the calves and hogs fed, the milk barn washed down, and the garden watered. Supper was served and cleaned up. All homework was finished and prayers said. Finally, everyone was tucked in, snug as could be. Now, All I had to do was wait just a few more hours, until the household was in its deepest slumber. It didn't seem long at all before I heard some faint noise, but as quickly as I heard it, it was gone again. I moved over to open the window. The time was getting nearer. I slid out onto the porch roof so I could look in all the windows. I went around to the right to look in Daddy's window, and he was not to be seen. Only my mother lying there, sleeping. I was instantly outraged, for one of the best times to take over someone's body is when they are dreaming, and he wasn't there. Of course, I would find him. If I did not possess him this night, then I was willing to bump him in the daylight if I had to, despite the risk to him. I went around to the other side of the porch where the kids' bedrooms were. If he was not up in them anywhere, then I would go down into the house and search it from attic to basement. The first window was the spare room. It was for the latest hired hand. The second window was Jackie's, my future oldest sister. The third window belonged to Matthew, Jason, and Jared. When Jake was born, it would become his room as well. I moved on past the spare room and up to Jackie's window, peeping just a little around the frame. She was a petite, pretty, giggly blonde, with her mother's big brown doe eyes and crooked teeth. As she got older, every adult around her wanted a piece of her. I could see a man on the bed with her. He had one hand up between her legs, and with his other hand he was manipulating himself. Jackie moaned as she threw her head back to escape her guilt at looking into this man's eyes. I'd moved to the center of the window to get a better look when the man turned and looked straight into my eyes. It was Daddy, and his eyes had a slight greenish glow to them.
Marian's vada mecum.
She'd found a new steno pad in the trailer Weasel had just put in her name. He shared it with her when he wasn't in Michigan with his wife and daughter. Marian hated sharing Weasel. It just wasn't her way. However, there was nothing she could do about it, and she loved him. Weasel was good to her. Megan, her youngest, must have bought the pad for school and never used it before she dropped out to get married. Before Marian found this steno, she had already written a list of 8 possible titles on a smaller piece of notepaper, and now she'd taped it inside the cover. She reviewed it. She'd neatly numbered 9 lines down, but the 9th one was blank. 8 phrases said it all. Things you just don't know. How bad can it be? Married bliss versus living hell. Marriage gone bad. How incest makes you feel. Incest in Long Family. My life with incest. A family broke apart. Her family. Lord Jesus. Her kids. Alone in a trailer in the middle of the state of Missouri. Misery. Marian put down her pencil so she wouldn't poke her eye out while she sobbed. When she was finished crying, she picked it up again. Jackie had a girlfriend named Sherry. About this time, Sherry came to me and said that one night when Jackie spent the night, she had told her that her dad had molested her. I told Sherry not to ever say anything like this again about my husband, and that I didn't want to hear it. I loved Bill enough to still believe in him. He always called me at 10 p.m. every night. Sherry came back and told me again about Bill molesting Jackie. Again, I told her not to talk about Bill that way, and to get out, and don't ever come back.
Although a demon can protect itself from another demon reading its minds, their presence in a human or animal is detectable by an unnatural glow in the creature's eyes. The color of the glow, like a human's unique fingerprint, usually identifies the demon. Rashma, a demon of chaos who was vengeful, immature, and had no self-restraint at all, already possessed Daddy. It was his poisonous presence, like a stinking public bathroom at a beach, overflowing with refuse and contamination, that I had sensed before even reaching the house. I fumed. This wasn't supposed to have happened. How could Rashma have messed up my plans like that? I presumed that body was mine. Rashma had cheated and stolen Daddy from me. Daddy finished his evilness and went back to bed while I tried to think about what to do now that I knew about Rashma. Maybe Rashma thought I was just passing by, but surely he must know who I am. Has he not heard of Markus? I could crush that body he was in as well as him with little effort, but I would not do that. I needed my father for my ultimate plan, and I refused to change it. I had selected my daddy carefully and didn't want to create such a fight inside of him that he ran off the edge of a cliff. But then getting and staying inside of a body with another demon is a very risky proposition. Although, if mastered properly, one could feed even on a demon's soul. But that would only work if Rashma had far less power than I. I had been doing my homework and wanted to become more than Rashma ever could be as a demon. I wanted to go into the next world, to live my dreams as a vampire. And he was not going to stop me. Daylight was setting in, and I knew it would be but a short wait, until night fell again. What I did not know was that Rashma had also been doing his homework.
Chapter 3. Demonism.
Nighttime fell again, and all the evening chores were done. The kids were getting tucked in by Daddy. Mom had gone to bed a little early, exhausted from working too hard this far along into her pregnancy. Every night Daddy would go to each room and say prayers with the kids. I couldn't understand him doing that, then turning around and doing what he was about to do, and made a habit of doing, indiscriminately and often. After prayers, he climbed into bed with Mom, snuggling up to her and breathing slowly, but he was only pretending to go to sleep. He lay there, fully awake, waiting, just like me, until the time was right.
Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. St. Luke 12:20.
I came down from the attic and slipped into the hired hand's room. I needed to be there before Daddy, just in case Rashma tried to object, and I had to demonstrate a few home truths to him. It wasn't long before Daddy got out of bed, naked, careful not to disturb Mom. He loved to walk around at night. From the beginning, he'd made it plain to Mom that he did not like house guests for this very reason. He went to the bathroom at the top of the stairs, right in the middle of all the bedrooms. He relieved himself quickly and went on to the room where the new hired hand slept. Daddy sure was lecherous, and Rashma's hunger merely fueled fires that were already burning. Joe, the farmhand, heard Daddy go to the bathroom and was waiting. He had grown up on a poor farm in the boonies of Illinois and aimlessly hired himself out, here and there. He liked it in this new place just fine. He didn't mind watching the kids as part of his duties, and he sure liked Daddy. From the way Daddy stared at him when he was hired, Joe knew what was up. Fine with him. Daddy's presence had looked inviting when he returned. The look. And like most men, he was ready for attention, whenever and wherever. As soon as Daddy came in, I knew Rashma wanted me to join them. It figured. His appetites were out of control. I'd go with it. Use it as a hidden tool. His lust was my gain. Rashma wasn't thinking properly. He was too reckless, like a crazed beast. How can he be so careless with me? I wondered as I watched them closely. Right then, Rashma turned to me and let me know, without speaking a word, that if I wanted my father's body, I could have it very soon. He willed me to come forth. I could feel this in all of my being and gathered myself to spring. Rashma had Joe submitting to all of his needs, and Joe was really getting into it. I think he was falling in love with Daddy. They were entangled, my father on top, his back to me. Then, Rashma turned my father's head to me so that I could see the faint green glow of his demon eyes. Now, Markus. Now, I jumped with all my force. I didn't want to cause too much of a scene, but I had to get in. I had to make it. I wanted it for my life, my whole being, my very existence. I bumped Daddy pretty hard, for I wanted to more than ensure my new property. and knocked him completely off Joe's body. At the same moment that I hit my father's body, he started to shudder. Feeling a bit disoriented, Daddy picked himself up and mumbled, quote,
"I'm tired. Going back to my room."
I called no. That night, I got to lie beside my mother, before she became my mother. Now I had to deal with Rashma. Why did he want me so desperately? Why did he issue such an unresisting invitation? Two very good questions. I could feel Rashma in my father's body with me. He was staying down in the lower part, just waiting. I didn't feel negative power from him or bad vibes in any way, although he must have known that the upper body has full power. I just thought that I would have felt him more. I could have thrown Rashma out, but if he didn't want to leave, then there would be a fight that could put my father's life in jeopardy. Curse him if he started something like that. If he tried to bump me, I would crush him instantly, for I was in command now, no matter what his intentions were. I wasn't about to put my destiny into the hands of some little piece of demon crap that had preempted me. If things stayed like they were right then, maybe I would let him be, for he knew that if I didn't get what I wanted, then he wouldn't get what he wanted either, whatever that was. For Rashma to have called out my name the way he did proved that he knew who I was. Maybe that's why he was so still. He knew how strong-willed, demonstrative, and powerful Morbos really was. Possibly, he wasn't as stupid as I thought.
Marion's Vade Mecum.
We had another boy, Jason, July 2nd, 1957. Bill spoiled this boy something awful, and he always had to compete against his older brother. We always wanted a lot of children. So in June 1958, Jared was born, the day after my birthday, on the 17th. After Jared was born, I started smoking, which Bill didn't want me to do. But I had gained a lot of weight, and I thought it would help me keep my weight down. But it didn't. Now I just have a bad habit. Now I wish I had never started. Bill smokes and chews. It was okay for him, but not for me. In July 1962, we had another boy named Jake. This made 4 boys.
It was now around the 1st of July, 1962. The weather was nice and farmers were cutting their pastures to make hay. Most of the baby birds were fully grown and singing in the fragrant air. The little foals were well on their way, and everything was blooming with life, including Mom. She didn't have very long to wait for the new baby. It was only a matter of days. She could hardly get around and spent most of her time in bed. Summer is rough on a pregnant woman, and Mom worked way too hard, even with the baby due so soon. Daddy just stood by and let her half kill herself, although he wouldn't allow her to do much else. The screen door slammed open, and somebody boomed,
"Anybody home? Hey, Marion, I'm here."
Then all the
Mom's baby sister, Aunt Linda, had arrived on the scene. This was Aunt Linda's first time helping with the kids in the farm while Mom was having a baby, for Mom had too much pride to ask the same woman to help her every time. I call her Aunt Linda, but it's with no pleasure, as you will see. She was a tall, sturdy woman, with broad shoulders, small hips, big hands and a deep voice. Blunt, bossy, very loud, and unethical. She wore pantsuits to the local Baptist church. She was funny and boisterous in a room full of people. Daddy and her were two of a kind. Backstabbing, conniving, cold and quick toward most of the boys, but partial to Jackie. To her credit, though, Aunt Linda was a big help, and always there for my mother when she needed her. She was also kind of cool in her own way. When any of the kids cut school, they could go to her house, hang out, and she'd serve Kool-Aid. Given her normal attitude toward kids, though, I think her motivation for doing that was to keep Daddy close to her. Joe and Daddy were busy in the fields. There was much work to be done during this time of the year. They had to store up feed in the summer for the cows during the winter. They spent the biggest part of the day cutting and chopping the 44 acres of young corn. Once they brought it up to the barn area, it was blown up into the silo, where it fermented into silage and developed a sweet, sour smell to it. The cows just went crazy over this stuff. Daddy let Joe finish while he came in to work on the cycle mower machine, so he could start the first cutting of alfalfa early in the morning. Plus, he wanted to check on Mom, and that was fortuitous. For right about the time he walked into the house, she started having labor pains.
Bill!
Her hospital bags had been ready for 3 weeks, waiting for this moment. Aunt Linda and Jackie helped Mom to the car, while Daddy retrieved her things and put them in the trunk. Matthew, Jason, and Jared just stood there, with their mouths hanging open, as if they were in shock or something. Aunt Linda rounded up the kids and shooed them inside.
Come on. Everything's going to be just hunky-dory. Don't you worry about it, quote.
She assured everybody within 10 miles.
Let's go have some pop, close one.
Daddy sped off toward Bangor and the county hospital, his first choice, as if he didn't think Mom could make the decision for herself. About halfway down Interstate 95, he almost hit a moose that had come up out of the Penobscot River, which ran a very close parallel to the interstate in this area. He came about 2 inches from sending them both headlong through the windshield at 65 miles an hour. My mother grabbed her stomach and bent in agony as another labor pain set in, and her water sac broke all over the seat. If only she could hold on just a few more minutes. Darn, she thought. I meant to tell Jackie to bring that towel.
I'm sorry about getting the seat all wet.
She sobbed, fearful of his reaction.
Don't worry about it. Just breathe. It'll be just fine.
When they arrived at the emergency room, Daddy ran in to let the nurses know. By the time he ran back out with help, Mom was almost out of the car.
Chapter 4. Attic Wall.
Harvest is past. The summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8:20.
Thanksgiving was right around the corner, and the Marbellos were bustling about. Daddy and Joe were outside, winterizing the barns for the harsh, frigid time ahead. As Daddy put insulation over the drain pipe for the pond, all he could think about was Joe. I myself was wondering what it would be like to have my father's body free of Rashma's influence, to experience it for myself without interference. Only when night falls again will Morbos know the intimate truths about his behavior. The incoming cold made it the perfect time of year to be in the house, nice and cozy, especially for Mom. She was on the phone with Linda, begging and demanding at the same time that she be at the family Thanksgiving dinner. Aunt Linda's guilt was not the only reason that she didn't want to attend Mom's wonderful dinner. Her lower abdominal pains were starting up again. Yesterday, one of them had been so powerful that she passed out. She sure didn't want something like that to happen at the dinner, so she just told Mom, "We'll see," and let her go. Linda was worried. She went into her bedroom to make sure the sleeping pills were in the nightstand. She'd had nights of twisted distress. She tossed and turned, sweating out ragged nightmares. One in particular kept recurring. A varmint crawls out of her body, climbs across her stomach, her chest, and to her defenseless neck. Just as its teeth sink in, she wakes up with both hands around her throat, screaming for help, drenched in cold sweat. What a beautifully blessed, contented Thanksgiving day this was. Life basked itself. The lustrous rays of the sun yielded eternal warmth. It was as if the whole world stopped, just for today. Even the birds in the trees, along with the soft, cool, late autumn breeze, sang songs of happiness. Things were more hectic for Mom, who ran around getting everything together before the company arrived. Daddy and the boys watched the Macy's parade on television, as Jackie unwillingly helped Mom in the kitchen.
Marion's Vade Meckham.
One year at Thanksgiving, I had one of the kids in our scout with me, and I was going to town to buy groceries for dinner. A big truck threw so much slush at my car that it made me go off the road. I had Jason in the front seat with me. I held onto him, and I hit my mouth on the steering wheel. It pushed my teeth through my bottom lip and broke off my 4 front top teeth. I was hurting with my teeth pulled and stitches in my bottom lip, and Bill just laughed. It really hurt me and made me mad. Bill borrowed $1,200 to get his teeth fixed. He had his glasses, but I needed glasses, and my teeth were breaking off and rotting out of my mouth. But Bill wouldn't do anything or give me any money to have it done. I ended up getting a pair of reading glasses for $10 at Walmart. I finally got my teeth worked on after I filed for divorce. He said he would pay for them, but he only paid a couple of $100 and I had to pay the rest of the $5,000.
Mom was putting the last bit of everything on the table as the guests started to arrive, and she began to wonder if Linda would show up or not. The preacher and his wife were already there. Their neighbors were coming up the walk. Still, no Aunt Linda. Knowing that she was late, Aunt Linda drove fast. She was pregnant and preoccupied with how much weight she'd gained and what kind of reaction she would get from family. She attempted to concentrate on better things, to put a smile on her face. Herself and Daddy together with their new baby. Know how she would make him leave her sister and get a divorce. Linda felt better as she pulled up the final stretch of the driveway toward the big white farmhouse. Thanksgiving dinner was nearly halfway through by the time Aunt Linda slipped into her place at the table. Everyone was going on about how good Mom's food was. Of course, she knew this since she and Jackie had made everything on the table from scratch. The ham that Daddy cured, the perfectly cooked goose, and the duck stuffed with wild rice went splendidly with all the bounty from the garden. The snow peas, the sugar snap peas, the potatoes, the sweet potato casserole, the turkey dressing with sage and onion, the Waldorf salad with black walnuts, the cloverleaf rolls, and the pies. It was a feast upon a feast. The children indulged themselves because today they got to pick what they wanted to eat and talk when they wanted, no matter what, without any interference at all from Mom or Daddy. Most days, they ate sitting silently at the big table. Daddy passed out the food. They ate it, and that was that. Today, some of the kids didn't finish what was on their plates and giggled, laughed, and babbled out of turn, but no one noticed. With all the company, it was hard to tell who was speaking or laughing and which plate belonged to which person. After dinner, all the children scampered off to play. Holidays were one of the very few times in their little lives that they had a couple of hours to do whatever their hearts desired.
Marians Vade Meekum.
Afterwards, Bill informed me that he didn't like having all these people over to our house. Said holidays it should just be the ones living at home. Aunt Linda got up from her chair with a faint groan, excusing herself to go upstairs to use the bathroom. She passed it right by, heading straight for the attic door. She'd wanted to do this for some time now. She opened the door and slowly started walking up the small, curved staircase. The bodwood creaked underfoot, making her even jumpier than before. Then she saw the huge scratch marks all along the old wallpaper on each side of the stairs. She was about to turn and flee when the stairs revealed an open door. Beyond was an empty room. The first thing that stood out in this deserted attic was some weird writing on the wallpaper of one wall, lit by the doorway. She then noticed a white bucket with a lid that had some red splatters around the edges below the wall with the writing. Over in a corner, there was an old book lying on the floor, smothered in dust. Aunt Linda's focus returned to the wall with writing, and she got the heebie-jeebies, for Marbos to Markus was written in large, dripping red letters, as though just done. When she could bring herself to walk up and touch it, it felt dry. Linda was petrified, frightening vibes shaking her to the core as she spun and raced to the door. She did not look back at all, but headed down the steps as fast as she could, without too much noise. The guests were about to leave as Aunt Linda walked back into the kitchen, looking so odd that Mom asked her if everything was all right. She dismissed it by saying she had too much to eat. They all left to go home, including Aunt Linda herself, as she gave hugs and kisses goodbye. Since it was such a big, late lunch, the family had warmed pie a la mode for a quick dinner and was in bed relatively early. Mom especially was already into a deep sleep as Daddy finished his prayers with the kids. His breathing quickened as he thought about the attic and the writing on the wall. His eyes gave off a cold blue-green glare. He quietly went up the curved steps to the attic. As he gazed at the wall, the ruby writing glistened in the glow of his eyes. Grinning, he recalled the night he did it. It began in the calf barn with a mangy stray cat and a small white plastic ice cream pail.